Vandy takes to the road for another big road test this season. Their first one did not go their way in their game at Alabama, but they go to the Texas Longhorns, where Texas is favored by 3.5 points. That has surprised some people, so I'd be interested to get your thoughts on the spread before I continue.
Okay, well, in the summer, this is from Josh Pate from FanDuel, Texas Vanderbilt on a neutral field. Not on a neutral field. At Texas would have been 24.5.
Yeah.
And it's now down to 3.5 and 2.5 in some markets. The spread makes sense. These teams are right there, I think, in comparison. From the play level, of course, Vandy been way higher and Texas been way lower, but the talent roster, composite, whatever words you want to use, Texas way high and Vandy way low. So it makes sense for it to be favored towards Texas because they would be neutral on a neutral field.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I also think this Texas team is much worse than we thought it would be preseason. There's no doubt there, but I think because we had such high expectations, we have swung to them being like terrible when that's not necessarily the case. It's just relative to expectations, they have been pretty bad. Mm-hmm. But I don't hate the spread. But yeah, the spread is 3.5. It's a huge game. We don't know if Arch is going to play. He's currently questionable. I'm going to call my shot. I think he's going to end up playing. But obviously, like with the concussion, he's in concussion protocol. There's not like there can just be like decide, oh, yeah, he's playing if he doesn't clear concussion protocol. So it's kind of a hard shot to call. But he did practice yesterday while still in concussion protocol. So I don't really know what that looks like as he's just in like a non-contact jersey running around out there. But that's huge for this game. He turned it up a little bit in the fourth quarter of the state game, was making throws. And I think they would need that version of him to potentially win this game, considering how good Vandy's run defense is and how poor Texas' rush offense has been. With that being said, what are y'all looking for in this matchup, like key points?
I want to first highlight dynamics for Texas.
Sure.
I'll use partially this is coming directly from Josh Pate. Was that a survival that'll secure them a playoff bid? Meaning, can they beat Vanderbilt and beat A&M and be right there in SEC consideration and playoff consideration? Or was that just a delay of the inevitable? Does eventually are they going to just lose these key games to A&M and Vanderbilt down the stretch? And then for me, also dynamics-wise, is the offense back to some degree because of what they got going in the fourth quarter? And does the defense play like they have something to prove? Because this is one of the best defenses in the country, and have whatever opinion you want. Blake Shapen threw for 360, 380, whatever the number was. And
I thought he hit like 3. I thought he was almost at 400.
He was. Might have been 380. State threw up and down the field. They ran the ball well, and of course scored a ton of points against this Texas defense. So maybe that's a statement of how good State is offensively, or how bad Texas is defensively, or it was a bad week. And that is something we have to find out this week against Pavia and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt on the road this year, they've played twice. A 31-7 win over South Carolina, which some will claim holds no value. I think some people still think it does. I do kind of think it does, because South Carolina was still something at that point.
I mean,
and they emptied out that stadium.
Mm-hmm. It's an emphatic win regardless. Like, you go on the road and beat South Carolina by that much.
And South Carolina was still undefeated at the time.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't really.
So it was a true home field advantage, because I've been in that stadium and it does get very loud.
Yeah, I mean, it's been that this whole season, I would argue. And even the Alabama game, they had a good amount of fans there, which I think the Alabama game shows that the win does still matter, because Alabama eked out a win there. Vandy went and handled business a whole lot better. It definitely looks worse than we potentially thought at the time.
Yeah,
but
Vanderbilt's other game on the road was the 30-14 loss against Bama. So my question is, for Vandy, are they a really solid team? They're just good against bad competition, meaning LSU and Missouri are bad competition, and they won those games just because they're at home and had the ball went their way a few times, which it kind of did. Or did they just happen to lose to one of the best teams in the sport, and meaning they're like the 5th best team in the country, and they're like Oregon, who has just lost to Indiana. Does Does that mean that Bama is the best team in the country because Vanderbilt's the second best? And again, are South Carolina, LSU, Missouri just really bad? And then it flips. Is Texas really bad? So many different questions that are going to be answered on Saturday. And none of that could be true. Like, all of those answers could be no, and they're just a really solid playoff team. They are going to have to win this game if they want to make the playoff, though. They're probably going to have to split the Tennessee game and this game, and this will be the easier of the two. I'll go ahead and say that because Rocky Top is no joke, and that'll be last game of the season. Tennessee's playoff odds are probably on the line in that game. One of the misconceptions with last week per Kirk Herbstreit was because C.J. Baxter had returned, Texas was going to be able to run the football. They did not. They really got nothing going offensively on the ground. Can they do that against Vanderbilt? That'll be kind of a question. And then for quarterback play, can Matthew Caldwell defeat the Vandy defense? Or if Arch plays, I would like to see what they got going in the fourth quarter. Obviously, because it was really effective and scored a ton of points. But specifically, they got going winning one-on-one coverage with their elite receivers. They finally went out there and played backyard football. They said, okay, we've got a 5-star quarterback. We have a 5-star receiver in Ryan Wingo. We have a 4-star in DeAndre Moore. And in the fourth quarter, they hit 5 passes, one-on-one coverage. Our receiver just outplayed, or their receiver just outplayed our receiver in States. 15 yards to Emmett Mosley, 15 yards to Ryan Wingo. The 21-yard touchdown on the switch concept to Emmett Mosley. 12 yards to DeAndre Moore, and then 14 yards to Parker Livingstone. So if Arch plays, I would like to see them go to that. Vanderbilt's obviously going to look to take that stuff away, like State did in the first 3 quarters. We didn't blitz a ton. We didn't leave a ton of one-on-one coverage. We played a ton of zone. We forced Arch to kind of sit back there. Got sacks because of that. Obviously, Texas is going to look to attack that. And that's what I want for Texas to do. And that's what Texas has to do if they're going to win this game. They're going to have to say that talent is what is riding for us offensively, because we have a 5-star. We have a 4-star. We have a 5-star quarterback. Use them. And that's easier said than done, but because Vandy is giving up 215 passing yards only over the past 2 weeks to Bo Perbula, and then the backup, and then to Garrett Nussmeier in that offense. So can Arch find 340 yards like Ty Simpson did against Vanderbilt, which is how many he threw for? That is kind of the storyline of the game. I want to see Texas offense versus Vandy defense.
Sure.
Because I think Pavia is going to find a way to score 21 points against that Texas defense. And so they're going to have to score 24 themselves, Texas offense.
I think something that'll be interesting to see as well is what kind of narratives we get after the game, because Vanderbilt, you kind of forget about it. They got 3 quarters without North Sellers. They got a quarter without Bo Perbula in, like, clutch time when the game mattered most. It was a tie game, I believe, when he goes down.
Yes, correct.
So 10-all when he goes down, gets hurt on the goal line. They don't get a touchdown out of that. And now if they get a game without Arch Manning, I wonder how much, if they do end up being 10-2, does that hurt their case for an at-large spot? That's a long way away, but just something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
A win here against Arch Manning, or a big win against Matthew Caldwell, is that his name?
Matthew Caldwell.
Would go a long way to trying to kind of get ahead of those narratives before they get started, because I could see that. They haven't started yet. I haven't seen anyone say that. I actually just thought of it. I may have to tweet it and get it started, so I can be the guy. Get on top of that. But a big win against Arch Manning, or just a win against Arch Manning, or a dominating win against, Texas, would go a long way to being sure they don't get hit with, but you played a bunch of hurt quarterbacks. Kind of like Aiden Hutchinson got in the NFL when he went up against like 6 straight backup offensive tackles.
I especially think that might be a question. If they win this game, Arch doesn't play, and then they lose to Tennessee, that's going to hurt them a ton, because that's the last thing the committee members are going to see. And again, I'll reiterate this, and it's going to continue to be a narrative going forward. It's people, not computers, picking these teams. And so Vanderbilt, last thing you saw was they lost to Tennessee. And you look at their best wins, they're against backup quarterbacks, and they've already made that precedent before that backup quarterbacks actually makes a difference in the quality of the team. That could hurt Vandy. I think that's a really good point, Sanders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be the greatest irony if Texas's logo is the kind of thing that keeps them in the playoffs, but it's not enough that when Vanderbilt beats them, it's like, oh, it's Texas put in the playoffs, but it's like, you beat Texas.
Yeah.
Like, the irony there would be wild. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, I think if Texas loses this game, they're out of the playoffs.
I agree.
Which I think is something to notice. Talking about, does their defense play with some pride? I think so. I think they'll turn it back around, and they're a good run-stopping team. I think they'll take what Vanderbilt loves to do and loves to find success with, and at least make it hard for them. I'm calling this as my race to 20 game of the week. We'll see if I'm correct for once. But it's just the thing of Texas can't run the ball. But I know Mississippi State found success, and I choose to believe it was an off week / that you just have to give credit to Mississippi State's offense.
Hey, I appreciate that.
Because it is a very good offense, in my opinion, and that Texas is not at all happy with how they played in Starkville, and so the defense is going to be looking to bounce back. And Diego Pavia doesn't always have the best games against good competition, and so if you put him back in the pocket and make him try and have to throw the ball to beat you. Simply put, he's limited as a passer. He doesn't have the most talented arm. He can't make all the tough throws.
And I don't think he has the wide receiver help that Blake Shapen has.
No, correct. So it could get really tough for them in that facet, and that's why I think it's race to 20, because then on the flip side, it's not like Texas offense has looked great all year, and we don't even know if their quarterback's going to be playing. So this is my race to 20 game.
Yeah, that's a really great, Vanderbilt's offense is it's the Haynes King of the SEC. It's just a lot of quarterback run, which it has worked really well all season, worked well for a lot of last season. But Texas is kind of a big test for that, just because of how big they are on defensive line. They lose a lot of those guys from last year, but they reload in the portal. It's a talented defense, which sometimes it can be hard to just do the same thing over and over against a talented defense like that.
Well, and we've seen it multiple times last year, and then this is a new group, but we've even seen it this year of in these 3rd and short, 4th and short situations, typically you want your team to run up the middle and just go get that yard. When it's Texas, it's like, please do anything else but run up the middle, because you run into the teeth of that Texas defense, and they're not going to give you the yard you need. You'll lose a yard. Think about the Texas Kentucky game on the goal line.
Yep.
I think y'all got stopped on 4th and short at one point, or 3rd and short.
4th and short,
on 4th and
multiple
short
times,
twice.
I believe.
Yeah. And so that'll be an interesting kind of matchup of strengths to play out, because there has been times Vandy's gone up against a good run defense and kind of their weird running game plan, like they can get it to work and Pavia gets it done. But it's going to be one of the toughest tests for them to be able to do that this weekend. So,
yeah.
Do we want to pick this game? Texas
Let's do
favored
it.
by 3.5.
Sanders, go ahead.
Oh, I forgot I have to go first. I'm literally one game ahead of y'all. I don't know why
Exactly.
I have to go first.
You got to keep pace, man.
So once I'm not ahead, we're gonna change out who goes first.
If we want, we can make the leader have to pick first every time. I'm fine
I like
with
that. I like that. Okay, cool. That makes me feel I didn't know if
So it
because
doesn't
I
have to be just about you. It's all of us.
I appreciate that. So long as we're in it together and it's
Yes.
not just you're out to an early lead, so now you're stuck with it. Well, since I am in first place, I will pick first. And I'm going to pick Texas. I don't want to, but I'm willing to sacrifice my lead to reverse jinx Vandy to
Sure.
a win. But I do think Texas is the home field for this. They've got their backs against the wall. They've already got 2 losses. Like Jack just said, if they lose here, in all likelihood, they are eliminated from the playoffs. I will never say never. I've definitely said never.
'Cause even
But
that
I'm not
means
going to say never in this situation.
Yeah, because even that means they have to win out, and that includes a game at Georgia, and then A&M comes to town.
Yeah. But they could win those games. Unlikely. They could win
could.
those games. But
But
they would most likely be eliminated from the playoffs. And so this is a must-win game. To quote Brian Regan, I don't know if y'all ever listened to him. He's a comedian. He talks about must-win games. It's a really funny bit. Someone asked after Game 4 of the World Series, "Is that a must-win game?" And he's like, "Nah, we can lose tomorrow." Texas cannot lose tomorrow or Saturday. They got to win Saturday. I wonder how much losing Arch Manning would force that offense to take a step back. The offense has struggled to get going under Arch, and Matthew Caldwell has looked good in the brief moments we saw him play, coming in for injured Arch and blowout Arch. Whenever they're in a blowout, Arch Matthew Caldwell would come in. I don't expect him to be fantastic, but also how often have we seen fantastic from Arch Manning? Not a lot. So I don't know how much of a step back that offense would take. It might even be beneficial. It kind of forces them to simplify things and really just go back to the basics of what JP said earlier. We have really talented wide receivers. Let's just let them do their thing and then just get them the ball. Screen passes, slants. Just get the ball in our playmakers' hands instead of putting too much on the shoulders of our 5-star quarterback, Arch Manning. He's got Manning on his back of his jersey. Like, get him the ball, make him make plays. Maybe not having Arch would force him to simplify their offense a little bit, or take the focus away from the quarterback and put it onto their running backs that they're talented and put it onto their wide receivers. That's a possibility. So I'm going to pick Texas to cover.
Congrats, sir. I think you set a record for longest explanation for a pick on the show.
I just kind of started
No.
talking, and I realized that I had a lot of other things to say that felt right in the moment that I could have said earlier in the breakdown but didn't.
That was your spotlight. You're welcome to talk for 20 minutes if you want. If you have
I don't
that
think
many,
anyone will ever break JP's record.
if
so.
that is reason, if you need that much to explain your reasoning for a pick, I'm also going to take Texas. I'm going to trust their defense at home to make things really hard for Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt, and then trust them, which I probably shouldn't, to find just enough offense to win this game, whether it's with Arch or with Matthew Caldwell. Could you imagine if Matthew Caldwell starts and they just boat race Vandy? That would just be so the conversations that would start.
Yeah,
would
for
be
real.
very interesting.
It'd be wild.
And so I kind of hope that happens for chaos' sake. I also need Texas to win these next couple weeks, because I would love to be the team that goes in there the last week of the season and ends their playoff hopes.
I don't. But then all they have left to play for is, so you want them to be backs against the wall when y'all play them at home?
Yeah, I would love it.
All right.
I've said this whole time, Texas not being as good this year, sure, it's fun as they're my rivals, but it doesn't mean anything if we don't go beat them the last week of the season.
Yeah. I just think that them having 3 losses, as dumb as it is, helps y'all a little bit to beat them, because then they're defeated.
Well, I don't care if they're defeated or not. We go play our best ball. I believe we can beat them.
All right.
So
That's fair. JP?
I'm taking Vanderbilt.
cool.
I think they'll get this done on the road. This feels like, of the 2 road games they have left, the easier one. I really like what Vanderbilt has done the last 2 weeks against Bro Pabula and Ahmad Hardy, and then Garrett Nussmeier and his receivers, holding them low statistically, making the key plays when they need to. Ryan Niblett, the punt returner for Texas that ended our hopes and ended the hopes of Oklahoma as well, has had his punt return touchdown last week, so he's not due for one this week. Maybe he is going forward. Give me Diego Pavia to win this game, continue his Heisman campaign, and then have 2 straight weeks of scares against Auburn and Kentucky at home. But this just feels like a game that Vanderbilt's going to be up for. Even coming off 2 straight emotional games at home, I think Texas is dead, and we're just delaying the inevitable. If it doesn't happen this week, they're going to get blasted by Georgia.
But that's a quality loss. That's 3 quality losses. Not really. Florida's not a quality loss.
Florida's not.
Well,
a
it's in the
quality loss.
swamp, so it's
True. That makes it a good loss.
That's a quality loss for y'all
Then
as well.
USF should be in the playoff right now.